Gen X grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
I mean, we're all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it!
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes.
No dice.
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
What you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome in episode number 15. Gen X Men, Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there in Maine, where it says right underneath, if you are watching us, you can see where he says where the new year starts. I'm assuming it's because Maine, the easternmost point of the United States. Is that what that is in reference to?
It absolutely is. I always laugh because everyone looks to New York, and there's a huge following that goes up to Lubec, Maine, Quaddy Point State Park, the easternmost point. They go there to see the sunrise because it hits theirs first. Now, technically, it's in the Eastern time zone, so zone switch, so the time's the same, but you're talking a 400 mile difference from the rest of the East Coast being that much further west than that point in the U.S. So we always laugh and say, nope, New Year really starts in Lubec, Maine. So not that I was up there. It's still 200 miles away from me, and it's cold up there. So
shout out to Lubec, Maine. I've been to Maine many, many times. I don't think I've ever been to Lubec. I don't even think I knew that Maine was the easternmost part of the United States. A lot of people would think Florida, Key West or whatever, but it's not. Maine's way, way further east. At the northern part of Maine, but I've never been to Lubec, Maine, so can't say that I've been up there.
Anyway, put that on your bucket list.
A lot of travel destinations are changing. We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show. We're going to get into some 2026 predictions. I put it into our good friend ChatGPT and said, "Hey, what are the upcoming trendy travel places for 2026?" I was just asking it to give me a bunch of different things. Yeah, one of them may surprise you. And it is one that I would actually, there are a couple that I was like, I wouldn't go there anyway. Either way, I don't care what you say that this is trendy or this has changed. I'm not doing it. Anyway, how was your New Year?
Not too bad. We went and had Chinese buffet for dinner, which, you roll out there.
Christmas if you're like Jewish and you don't celebrate Christmas.
We did steaks for Texas Roadhouse for Christmas, so we decided to do Chinese last night. Got completely stuffed, came home in a food coma, watched a little television, and by 10:30 we were knocked out. How about you?
So you didn't even make it to midnight?
Oh no, I didn't even plan to. It was just the whole, if I made it, great. If I didn't, oh well. So
yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, and it doesn't change. Just if you stayed up till midnight, it wouldn't make a difference. The New Year was coming regardless. So, I spent like 8 hours on the road yesterday because I had to go to Philadelphia with George Mason. So that was a drive up and a drive back, and then we just stayed here. Karen and I just stayed here at the house, and she watched CNN with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, and I sat there and looked at stuff on my phone and did the New York Times crossword puzzle. I wasn't had zero interest in hanging out with Andy and Anderson on CNN. So
interesting. You mentioned that, and I'm like, is that a big New Year's Eve show? I don't know. And that's coming
with
from
a certain segment. Yes.
Okay. Because, I don't have cable, haven't had it in quite a few years.
Okay.
Streaming, So I really, at this point, could not tell you what are the mainstream New Year's Eve shows. Because, for me growing up, probably the same for you, it was Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. That was the that was the one that everybody tuned into because it was produced well. They always had good music, and it was always fun. So,
Well, yeah,
kind of.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying, and after was it 2004, 2005 when he couldn't do it anymore and went to Ryan Seacrest? Yeah, that was about the time I tuned out just in general on it.
Well, I think the reason that Dick Clark rocking New Year's Eve and everything is because our parents had grown up with Dick Clark. He was clearly, I mean, obviously he was one of theirs. He wasn't ours. Like American Bandstand was around, but it wasn't. Was American Bandstand a thing for you growing up? It wasn't for me. I mean, I was aware of it and I watched it. Like if there was nothing else on, I might flip over, but I wasn't like, ooh, I have to sit down and watch American Bandstand like our parents probably did.
Correct. No, I think it had kind of was on its last legs when we came along. I do remember it because I remember seeing some acts from the 80s on American Bandstand, but I didn't. It was probably because of the age. It wasn't a must tune in thing because it was American Bandstand. There was Soul Train. Don't know if that was existing in all parts of the country. So the Saturday morning music shows. But you're right. It's America's Teenager. Dick Clark was our parents. It probably carried through to us. And maybe that's why we knew him because he was safe. He was okay. We're going to watch him.
Well, Dick Clark was kind of cool. I mean, I just remember Dick Clark was kind of cool. The last one, I just looked it up. Last one was in October of 1989. Now that thing started in 57. So it was 32 years of doing American Bandstand, which is how he got the nickname American's Teenager, obviously. So if it started in 57, my mom would have been 12 when when American Bandstand hit. So that's right in the wheelhouse of, so of course it carried all the way through. So they're going to be like, oh, we should watch Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve because he was the guy that I mean, it just made sense. I mean, let's face it, Dick Clark was a legend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and from a broadcast professional, he was always perfect, right? He was never trendy, never outlandish. It was just, we're doing music. And I'm kind of your host and gateway to that. And I think that's probably, for that generation is why he lasted so long and became such an icon is just how he approached doing the show. And, obviously he had the following. People wanted to watch what was on there. So, yeah.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he also was a great game show host as well, doing the $10,000 pyramid. And then they upped it. It was a $25,000 pyramid. And again, people won't think, people obviously for game show hosts will point to Bob Barker, Wink Martindale, probably. For my money, Dick Clark might have been the best of all of them.
Yeah. Well, he was in that, what I consider that group of great guys. Like you said, Wink Martindale, Dick Clark, a few, Bob Barker, like, I don't know, call it a specialty to that age group of these guys that were hosting game shows is very big. There was quality guys doing it. You don't get that anymore. I mean, now I know there's still game shows out there, some of the same ones, but they're just kind of throwing people in because they're a celebrity and not because they actually do the job very well. If you go back and look at the standards those guys set back in, the 60s and the 70s and early 80s.
It is crazy. Like even you think about, Richard Dawson, who was just, I mean, he was on Hogan's Heroes. Again, these are references that Gen X people remember. If you're listening to this with your parents and you're a teenager or early 20, whatever it is, you have no idea what that is. I understand that. I understand we're aging ourselves completely. But he Hogan's Heroes and then did some other things. And then he was a panelist on the Match Game and was probably the best panelist on the Match Game with Gene Rayburn. And then he does Family Feud. And I don't care. You can name any of the other hosts. Steve Harvey does it now. He's fine. None of them come close to Richard Dawson.
No, he was fantastic. And especially on Match Game. And for those of you who haven't, if you get a chance to watch some of those old Match Games, you would sit there and go, I can't believe that they're saying that because they were so good at the innuendo. Yes. And it was funny. And they put it out there. But it's prime time, so they can't go too far. But it was edgy, and these guys were fantastic off the cuff doing these shows back then.
Yeah, I mean, you had Richard Dawson, you had Charles Nelson Riley was always on the show. Fannie Flagg was always one of the panelists on the show. I mean, yeah, and then they would have other stars from whatever TV shows were there. A lot of times they were the B-list people. You weren't gonna get like, MASH was big then. You weren't getting Alan Alda didn't do an episode of
Game
MASH
shows.
Yeah, I believe Alan Alda was doing match game. But Radar, I think, was on the Match Game a couple of different times.
Yes, he was.
So,
yep.
Anyway, we kind of got off the tangent. Okay. And again, I feel it's crazy because Dick Clark had other companies and things that he did outside of broadcasting. And I forget, it's been now 30 some years, probably even longer than that. He had some company where they did sales, or I don't remember what it was, but a friend of mine, and somewhere I still have the contract because his stamp or auto pen is on it. I did some in-house voiceover work with Dick Clark's company.
Wow.
Where they would do the whole welcome to our gold sales members teams, Mr. and Mrs. J. Smith. I had to do that and here's our 1995, Diamond Award winner. And so I did all of that for him at one of the things. And again, he wasn't there, so I never got to meet him, but it was part of his thing. And the contract had his name on it. So I was like, I got to keep this.
Oh, absolutely.
This was well before that I was going to even know how far or what I would do in broadcast or whatever. I think I was just out of college when I did that. It was probably in the mid 90s, but I was just like, this is cool. And I got paid at the time. It was like $1,200, which was a huge sum of money back in the mid 90s. I still remember the exact amount and everything. I mean, so I have an affinity, and we'll tell the story in a couple months. Guys like Dick Clark, guys like Frank Sinatra, they're not our generation's people, but I love those guys because of the fact that we had chance meetings with them.
Mm-hmm. They were the legends of our time, if you will. Even though they belonged to our parents, we knew enough. They were the icons that were still around, as we came of age. And, like I said, had those wonderful chance encounters with them to say, hey, we rubbed elbows with the great ones.
Right. Exactly. And they're not ours. They're definitely the boomer generations, but that's fine. With New Year's, did you, and I've never been one for this. I don't think there's a date on the calendar. If you want to make a change in your life, you should just make the change in the life. Why wait till I understand everybody goes, oh, it's a new year, you turn whatever. Are there any New Year's resolutions for you?
Just to eat better. That's really my thing. I've kind of come into of just focusing what I eat. I have already made some changes. I'm just going to keep refining it because, I think that's the best way with resolutions. Everyone says, I'm going to go lose 50 pounds. And then by February 1st, that's not going to happen. And that's just human nature. You try to do too much change, you can't do it. It has to be small steps. So did I, end of the last year, start eating more vegetables? Yes, I did.
Nice.
Now it's just more cutting the carbs a little bit more, focusing on the protein intake, just trying to eat a little bit cleaner, because whether it's an RFK influence or not, I'm just horrified by the things I've seen in our food production and discussions of now versus the past and what's happening. And so I'm trying to pay more attention to what I'm eating. Maybe, 50 years too late at this point, but, start somewhere, right?
Well, here's what I'll say, and this is for anybody who's out there doing it. The idea that you're going to drop this crazy amount of weight in a year, that's the frustrating part of that when you try to do it that way is a lot of times you can't. Just lifestyle, work, whatever it is, you can't spend 4 to 5 hours a day in the gym to drop that amount of weight. It's really hard to do. That's why when people do it, it's such a big, giant story. But if you just go, you know what, 10 pounds this year, I want to weigh 10 pounds less than I did at the start, at the end of 2026, I did at the beginning of 2026. That's a legitimate goal. And you'll see it. And if you do that again over 2, 3, 4 years, well, all of a sudden you've lost the 40 pounds that you wanted to do instead of trying to shove it into a year and going, oh, it didn't work. And like you said, by February or April or whenever it is that you go, oh, I'm not going to get there. It's less frustrating because, again, at my heaviest, I was right about just a shy over 200 pounds. Now, this is years ago. I weighed myself the other day, 165. So 40 pounds down. Now it's been more than 4 years, but it was that slow because I just said, you know what? I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year. Ended up actually losing 13 in that first year. And then it was just kind of like every year, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I never, my rule was, and this isn't from anybody else, this is just something that I did for myself. If, let's say I was getting down. So when I got down to 195, I said, okay, I gave myself the chance to fluctuate a little bit depending on the time of the year, whatever. I said, okay, I've hit 195. I can never go back to 200. When I hit 190, I said, okay, I can never get above 195. It wasn't like you get to 189 and you go, I'm never going to allow myself to get above 190. It's not realistic. You might have a weekend or whatever. So then you jump up to 191. Fine. As long as you don't accelerate and go back up to that next mark. And that's how I did it. Just slowly went. So the other day when I went 165, I'm like, okay, well, now I've got to figure out, unless I start, working out and gaining muscle, because we all know muscle weighs more than fat. Now the thing is, okay, don't ever get above 175 again. So I can allow myself to fluctuate between 165, 170, maybe even a little bit above 170, but can't go to 175 again. That's when you got to, buckle down and start doing more stuff. So I'd recommend, again, awesome. I'm trying to lose the weight, but like you said, don't try to do 40 pounds in a year. It might happen. You might be able to do it, but you're going to be frustrated when, I only lost 2 pounds this month. I needed to lose 4. You know what I mean? Like it's tough.
Well, and I give credit to a physician that I had when I lived back in Northern Virginia. And his thing was, he goes, stop chasing numbers.
Right.
He said, eat better, exercise, and see what happens. Because he believed, and he said, he goes, the people that need to lose a lot of weight, if they want to lose it, they won't like the lifestyle and they won't keep it. Right. So that's why his thing was always start with how you eat, start about your activity level, and go forward from there instead of trying to set a goal necessarily.
Right.
And so for me, I've been up, I've been down, and I refer back to a former coworker. He was very big on eating, and that's how he lost a lot of weight. He goes, I didn't do anything different, didn't go to the gym anymore. He goes, I just changed how I ate.
Right.
And so I'm starting now looking at it as like, yep, let's clean up the food patterns a little bit. So
yeah, makes sense.
I haven't been crazy in the past. I don't really do a lot of soda. I have watched carbs, but I know now what I'm seeing success with, as we get off on this tangent, is just limiting. I'm eating only between about 11 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'll keep tightening that up and just don't eat in the overnights. And I can tell a huge difference when I wake up the next morning, what goes on the next day, when the body's in kind of that mini fasting mode versus, I had extra slices of pizza at 10:30.
Right.
Huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, and I think for me, it's just, and part of it's because Carrie has to get up at 5:15 every day to go to school. So I'm in bed 9 o'clock most days, 10 o'clock at the latest. So I'm getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So when she gets up, I get up. She's always like, just go back to sleep. I'm like, no, I'm awake now. Like your alarm went off. And now I have to ask this. Are you a snoozer? Like your alarm goes off, do you smack it, or on your phone now you have to press the button, but in the old days you would hit it? I am not. I have never been somebody that like the alarm goes off, I'm up. I'm like, okay, time to start the day. She'll hit it 3 or 4 times. So by then I'm already awake. She doesn't really get up until 5:45, but that alarm goes off 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, how are you sleeping for an extra 8 minutes? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's not sleep.
Right.
You're just laying there.
And she goes, I'm just trying to ease into my day. And I said, well, I've been lying here wide awake for the last half hour. So,
yeah. No, I guess I'm maybe unique. So working only 2 to 3 days a week, I set the alarm, I get up, I go to work, right?
Yeah.
That's just it, because I have to be there.
What you do. Yep.
Every other day, there's no alarm unless there's something particular going on. It's just I wake up when I wake up. A lot of the times it's about the same time. Sometimes it's not. Whatever. I just when I wake up and get up usually. I don't like to really lounge in the bed, do the snooze thing. So I'm kind of with you on that. Let's just get up and go about our day, whatever it is. Even if it's sometimes I'll come sit and watch the news. I'm just up. That's just it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get up and maybe, again, I have the little New York Times thing where you can do the crossword puzzle and Wordle and a bunch of other things. So I'll try to do that because it's just a nice way to kind of get your brain started up in the morning and everything. But yeah, you talked about, so if I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, a lot of times I won't even eat dinner because I'll go to the high school practice. We get done at 7. I have like a 45-minute drive home. So by the time I get home, it's basically time to start getting ready for bed. So I'm not going to sit there and eat some giant meal at 8 o'clock. And yeah, I think that's helped because some days I'll eat like one meal a day and then just snack on different stuff. Like I've got a bag of sunflower seeds here that I'll chew on them. I've got a jar of peanuts here in the office that, like I said, I was eating before we started the thing. It's just a little protein in the morning. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way to go about doing it. But like you said, you just can't get caught up in, I need to lose 8 pounds this month, because you never know what's going to happen where for whatever reason you couldn't stick to whatever it is. People all the time, I have buddies that are much more gym freaks than I am, obviously, that they say they hate the first 2 or 3 weeks of the year because it's all the people who are trying to come to the gym and it's crowded. And they're like, you're not going to be here in March. So you're just slowing me down from getting through my workout. They're like, by the time March and April are around, he's like, it's back to normal. You see the same people that are always there that are doing it because, like you said, it ends up being like a lifestyle. It just, that type of thing. So the people that do it, that start in January and stick with it, that's awesome. I
bless them.
But these guys tell me all the time, they're like, no, by March, it's pretty much back to normal. And you don't see the people that you saw, clogging up the gym back in January. So
yeah, and that goes back to the doctor I talked to earlier when he was talking about going to the gym. He goes, I'd tell you, go start once a week.
Yeah.
And do that for a little while and then maybe move to 2, because he just believed in patterns and who we are and this whole, especially for diet and lifestyle change. He goes, trying to just all of a sudden, all right, now we're going 3 days a week and do it. He goes, it just doesn't work because that's not how humans, we're creatures of habit and patterns. And to change it does require time, effort, and concentration to be able to make those changes. But you just can't overwhelm the system and try to just change it all at once.
What sucks for you, because I know you guys have the dog Trooper. What helped me originally was just taking the dogs. And I would do a half hour, 45-minute walk in the morning. And then I would add another one, which they weren't used to at the time. I didn't want to, and they were just like, again, this is crazy, because you just go and walk. And it wasn't like a walk where you let them sniff around. It was like a dedicated, like, no, we're walking. Like, you're going to go with me. We're walking. So they got their exercise as well. And sure, you would let them stop. And if they had to, pee or something, fine. But it wasn't like a stroll. It wasn't like you'd walk 10 feet, stand while they sniffed in the bushes. No, it was, we're walking, we're going. It was usually like a mile and a half, 2 miles. So it worked out pretty well.
No, I actually like taking him out, except when it's 0 degrees. Past 2 days have been good.
Right.
Very manageable, reasonable. But sometimes you hit those sub-zero temperatures and it's yep, we're walking, hurry up, let's get back in.
Yeah.
So there's no exercise component.
Yeah. And that makes it tough. Again, you're up there in the, in the cold. So it's hard to get out and do things and be active and everything else without going to the gym, unless you had a treadmill at the house. But I mean, I know you guys move around, so you probably weren't moving a treadmill from your place down to the place on the coast. So
yeah, I mean, last year we spent winter down in Alabama for 3 months.
Perfect.
And, their worst day was 35, 40 degrees. Trooper and I would just go and walk the neighborhood, check everything out, because it was wonderful. So I missed that we couldn't do it this year.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to lose weight, get a dog, walk the dog.
Yes.
That's it. All right. Want to get into this because, again, 2026, it's going to be a big year for movies. I think there are a couple of them that are going to be pretty big. Although, again, they're going back to the well of all the reboots and everything else. It's fine. But Steven Spielberg is coming out with a new movie. Remember, he did, of course, we all remember as Gen X folks doing Close Encounters of the Third Kind way back. I think it was late 70s when that came out. Okay. That freaked out all of us because for the most part, weren't even teenagers yet. So, of course, you start talking aliens and all other stuff. We get a little crazy freaked out. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, my gosh. And then, of course, he did E.T., much more sweeter, gentler type of thing, right? So this one, did you watch the trailer for this?
I did end up watching it.
Okay.
And it kind of seemed, I don't know. I mean,
I didn't give away the plot for the most part.
Well, that was one of those. I was like, are we even going to see an alien in this movie? Because
you did.
You did, and it was just kind of vague. So I'm quite interested to actually see this now because I knew nothing of it till you had mentioned it.
Right.
So
my thing is, this again, call me crazy. It's fine. This to me is a test run.
Okay.
I think it's a test run. I think they're going to throw Disclosure Day out. And if you haven't seen the trailer, go ahead and watch it. We can't put it up here. We get banged for copyright stuff, so we can't necessarily play it. But you go ahead and watch it, and you read about what it's supposed to be about. Basically, Disclosure Day is when they're going to tell you, as the guy in the trailer says, I'm going to show 7 to 8 billion people or whatever it is live that basically these aliens or non-human intelligence folks are here. That's what the Disclosure Day is the day that they tell you they're aliens. Are you buying this?
No, okay. Not at all. Not saying, so here's my thing I've always said with aliens. I'm not saying it's impossible, does not exist.
Okay.
I just have not been given enough hard data to go, this is really happening. So,
okay.
I mean, if you go back through history, I mean, there's tons of potential discoveries, but we never have anything concrete. It's kind of like Bigfoot, right? You know, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of legends, there's a lot of things that make you go, huh? But we've yet to come across anything concrete that says yes. And so until it's revealed, I'm skeptical. And again, I'm not saying it's not possible. I just kind of go, wow, we've been around for a couple thousand years or more, and we still don't have any true proof yet. So, and that's why I say yet. So that's where I'm at with it.
I will say this. Wait, are you familiar with the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report? Do you remember Minority Report?
Is that the one? No, is that
with the precogs? The precognitions, they would lie in the salt bath, and they would be able to tell you that somebody was going to commit a crime before it happened, so you could go and arrest the person beforehand.
Yes, I do. So yeah, I haven't seen the full movie through, but enough. Once you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, it's that one. Okay. So yes.
So with that,
yes,
not the precognition stuff of that you're going to stop people before the crime actually happens, which is what the big thing was in Minority Report. But there's a scene, and it was very creepy at the time, and everybody went, that's ridiculous, where he's walking through the mall because he's trying to stay. At this time, I believe he was being pursued, and he was trying to stay anonymous, right? But he's walking through the mall, and they had all these, panels.
Yep.
And they would say, and I forget his character's name in Minority Report. Let's just say it was Jeff, which that's not it, but whatever. He would walk into a store, and it would go, oh, hello, Jeff. Have you seen the and he's like, trying to be like, okay, I don't want them to see me. That's coming.
Oh, yeah.
That's already probably here in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah.
So there have been plenty of movies that have kind of said, hey, by the way, this is out there. This is the future. And we all went, that would never happen. And then here we are. Yep. So that's why I think Disclosure Day goes right along with Spielberg's Close Encounters. I'm telling you, it's coming.
It could be coming. My whole thing, and especially with movies, because that's really, modern history. It's always the creatives who ask the questions about what if.
Sure.
So, they are the ones that say, oh, well, this might be a thing or that could be a thing. And now we expand on it and ask the questions and write the stories. I mean, you can go back. I mean, Jules Verne, right? His stories, right? He was looking forward, like, what if?
Futures, sure.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of the same thing. I mean, when you talk about Minority Report, that was someone kind of going, what will happen in the future? Well, guess what? AI, yep, that's here now. It's going to happen. And so when I see things, like Spielberg talking about the aliens, I'm not saying, again, are they here? No, but he's asking the questions. What if, what if, what if? Maybe it's outlandish, maybe it's not. Because, I mean, there's plenty of movies out there that tried to ask the what ifs that we don't even know about anymore because they just weren't big name celebrities produced, or they were just wrong. So, and again, to me, anything's possible till it's proven it can't be. And we haven't proven that there aren't aliens yet, right? I see some of the footage from all the UFO stuff that the government says not real, and I still go, doesn't make sense. Some of these things.
Right.
Because we know a lot of the old aliens sightings, quote unquote, were military projects that they were like, yeah, it's aliens. I mean, yeah, we don't know, because they were trying to cover themselves up.
Right.
So I just go back until I get more definitive evidence. I don't believe it, but I do like that it asks the questions, what if and what could be. And those are things we should pay attention to. I
guess then what do you accept as the narrative of Roswell in 47 then?
I think that is a government cover-up. I think they sort of allowed it to be questionable to cover up whatever they were trying to do. And I'm not going to say I knew exactly what they were doing or trying to hide. It may have been something simple, something bigger. But, I think there's a certain enjoyment of allowing that to kind of fog everything of what the government's doing. Because I'll say it here, I don't trust the government. I know they do things that they don't want us to know about, and they muddy the waters, and they like living in, I think they do, depending on what you're doing, love living in conspiracy land. They're like, oh, was it aliens? Did we have that? Just let it run. Because time and time again, there's been all these whistleblowers out of the government that say this happened, this happened. It never goes anywhere, right?
Well,
so
but
I don't know.
Does it not go anywhere because the people that are at the highest level of the government don't allow it to? I mean, you can whistleblow all you want, but if the people that are controlling the narrative or whatever it is that you're whistleblowing about, there's nothing you can do. Like, you could sit there, like somebody could come out tomorrow and say, hey, I worked at Area 51 and they have alien technology and they have this. And if the reporter goes and says, hey, what about this whistleblower that we did the interview with? And the government just goes crazy. Then everybody goes, all right, I guess there's nothing to this. Like, that's the problem, because it's not like the people are going to ask the question and then the government goes, you got us. Good job.
Right.
Good job, guys. You figured it out. I mean, this not going to happen.
Part of the dilemma, but my thing is they always say things, but they never have anything. Like, no one snuck a document out. No one has snuck out a piece of it, right? It's always just statements of, I saw, there's nothing concrete. So once the government says, no, it didn't happen, the journalist is like, okay. So until, like I said, a body comes out of Roswell, or, someone shows us the spaceship like on Independence Day, that's when I'll go, holy crap, that's real.
Well, I don't think I necessarily want the Independence Day spaceships coming. That was a little creepy, and a lot of them. We'd be in a lot of trouble at that point.
Yeah.
Well, what about, and I know you probably don't follow this as much as I do, because I listen to 1,000 different podcasts and they run the gamut of all these different things. What about, have you seen, and guys have gone down and they won't let them out. I think it's Peru. And they won't let them be brought back to the U.S., but people have gone down there to see them. These 3-toed, 3-fingered, I guess, for basically what is skeletons, or not even skeletons. I think they're mummified bodies that they've seen that they can't explain, that they're not fakes, because you can see all the ligaments and everything else within the bot. Like if it were a fake, it would have been so amazingly good for the time period that they think this is from, that we have no idea how it would happen. But and I wish I could figure out. I have to look up and see. Maybe I can come up with it real quick. But anyway, it's interesting because a lot of people that have gone down there have been like expecting it to be like, oh, this is just another thing. There was, I think, in Mexico, the people said, oh, we found these, alien skeletons or bodies or whatever. And then you were like, they went down there like, no, it's just a really bad paper mache fit. Like, it was like, this isn't anything. This one, though, people are like, hold on a second. Like, this is really different and really weird. So That's why I say there's always stuff out there bubbling, but they don't have an explanation for it. When you don't have an explanation for it, you kind of have to go, all right, well, what do we do now? You're like, how do you explain this? So,
well, and so that's where I would go with me being the skeptic. Okay, so we got these skeletons. How come whatever main university down there hasn't pulled them and done major research on it? How come they weren't transported to the U.S. at University of Chicago?
They won't let them. That's the thing. Whatever government or whatever has them, and again, I think it's Peru, is like, no, we're not letting these. Again, would you let somebody? Yeah,
No.
Here's what it is. It's a 3-fingered, 3-toed Nazca mummy, Nazca of Peru.
Okay.
So that's where it is. So, you can look that up. So, but yeah, they won't let them out of Peru. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's very strange.
But they won't let them be researched in Peru.
Well, no, they've gone down. There have been scientists and others that have gone down there and actually observed them. There are videos on YouTube you can go and look at. But yeah, they're not letting them take samples to study, like that kind of stuff. But again, it's one of those things. It's like when people go down to see this thing, they're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, where are they getting these things that are showing, bone structures, and there's nothing in them that would suggest that this has been glued together or put together in some odd way, like the ones, like I think it was in Mexico or somewhere in Central America that they had these. Like, it's really weird. Now, have I seen them up close? No. I'm going on the opinion of people who have been there and have talked about everything else, and they just go, we have no explanation for this. That's the weird thing, is when somebody who's an expert in this and has debunked other ones and gone, this is nonsense or whatever else, and then they see these things and go, I got nothing. Okay. That's weird.
It is weird. If the expert says we can't figure this out, which, it's also okay that they say we don't know, because again, depending on the age of these mummies, we have no idea. Like, did they mess with someone just because? Was it a weird, and again, I don't know the age group. Was it some weird mutation that happened? I don't know. Yeah. I just look at, like, let's go to Egypt, right? We've pulled mummies and had them MRI'd, and it's okay. And it just seems odd, like you say, that they won't let them research it. But the question is, that's why I don't like government, right? They get in the way. Right, because we could just end this, right? We could just pull these mummies, have them somewhere, and figure this out. So when they do these things, that's where it's like, oh man, because if you think about it on a global scale, and this is why I will admit, if we admit there are aliens and show the proof, and the government allows it, then all control will be lost, because it just resets everything for the worldwide agenda of, we're not alone, right? All of a sudden you start to rethink everything, and you let your mind race to Star Trek, Star Wars, and everything else, where there's different beings out there. And how do we do that? How do we interact? What are we doing? It gets crazy if.
Well, the weird thing is
it comes out.
If they've been here, I don't think that you're going to get to the disclosure part of this, and that it's going to be, oh, they're here for the first time. They've been tracking us, and now they're arriving. I don't think that's I don't think that's what's going to happen when, and I'll say when, because I think it's pretty arrogant for us to be like, no, we're the only thing that's in the universe, in the entire everything. It's pretty arrogant to be like, no, we're the only ones. I think it's short-sighted. So I think when it comes down to it, it's going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, you've already been living around these people anyway, or these entities, or whatever it is. I guess it wouldn't be people because they're not humans. But, depending on who you talk to, some folks think that, these beings or aliens or, non-human intelligent people are us coming back from the future, which I don't believe. I don't think there is time travel.
Yeah, I don't either. But going along with you, I do understand that, look, if these foreign beings, these aliens, let's just call it what it is.
Not non-human intelligence.
Non-human intelligence, NHIs. If they had the ability to get here from galaxies far, far away,
Sure.
then yes, they have the technology and the understanding to be able to live amongst us quietly and us not know it. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause you could look like, what
I
if
was gonna say, if they're that intelligent, then they know, hey, we can't stir the pot here. Kind of like, wildlife photographers hiding in camouflage.
Sure.
Don't want to create chaos in the environment. They're probably intelligent enough to go, yeah, we can go there, but we have to do this, this, and this, and not mess with what is going on there to be able to observe and whatever they're going to do.
Been here for thousands of years and we have no idea, which is another possible. I mean, if they've got that technology, they are way ahead of us. Like you said, I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years ahead of us. So what's to say that they haven't been here all along? What's to say they haven't been here this entire time doing whatever? I don't mean like lizard people or anything like that, where they, crack out of their human meat, shields or whatever. I don't mean that. I mean, but who knows? I mean, they say it all the time. There's a lot of stuff a lot of places we haven't been in the ocean that we have no idea. So if they're that advanced, maybe they just set up in the ocean somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah. And like I said, to me, that is all possibilities. I will never say it can't happen. And until proven otherwise, it's always a possibility. We are just now reaching the point. I look at it this way. If you look through history of time, we conquered land. We learned how to travel and migrate. We then conquered water because we learned to sail and transport ourselves by water. Then the next step was the sky. We learned to fly and expand ourselves there. What we're left now is, and it kind of leads into this, is space. We're just now getting to that point. I mean, what was it last week? NASA and the Department of Energy announced that they have, I don't know if it's the prototype or whatever, but they have a nuclear propulsion system for travel outside Earth, which is totally a game changer because what we use now to get into orbit doesn't work for long-term space travel in terms of speed. Right. Now they're talking about, we've got the technology to put a nuclear rocket launching out of our atmosphere. Now they'd say they cut time travel, I think, to Mars by, from like 9 to 10 months down to 2. So we're just now starting to conquer space to be able to ourselves get out of here and see what else is going on. I mean, what was it? Oh, the Pluto satellite. They did the anniversary the other day.
Yep.
I mean, it took it 10 years to get to Pluto, and just, that was just amazing to consider. Hey, we have to have this launch window, and I think it was January 2006 to be able to hit this spot, this location 10, 15 years from now.
Right.
So, nuclear propulsion will change that. And maybe now it's like a 5-month trip to get out to the edge of our galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, I look at all this stuff and it seems like there were massive leaps in technology at different times in our existence. And I think, I think the A-bomb is one of those that all of a sudden they figured out how to split an atom into. It seems crazy that was able to be done. Like other things progress in a normal, events, I would say, that you kind of go, okay, that makes sense. You went from this to this to this to this. But like the leap to the A-bomb, even the leap in like, fiber optics, from going from dial-up to fiber optics in the time that it did, to me, that was a giant leap. Like, where did they figure this stuff out? Like, that's why sometimes I just wonder, like, are they reverse engineering this stuff and then they go, oh, we figured this out. Now we can use it. Now, again, they didn't figure it out. And then a year later, it's brought to the public. We know the government's 30, 40 years ahead of everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they spend a lot of time in research development. Obviously, they're working with universities now a lot to come up with these things. And again, science is different, but I always say it's the creative mind. Sure. Science starts with someone asking the question, well, what if X? What if Y? And so, like the atom bomb, you had physicists, that's a science I've never been able to totally grasp. And we're sitting around like, well, what if we do this? And what if can we make a weapon out of this? Right. And that's what went on, the University of Chicago during World War II. Like they were doing it in the basement under the football field to start with some of the scientists and just asking the question, well, we know this, can we do this with it? And just started experimenting, trying to figure it out. So, you can go back and find the thought process that got them there versus necessarily reverse engineering backwards, saying, hey, we see this thing, what if, and go backwards. At least that's a good thing about science. Usually it's documented on how we get there with research criteria, peer review, that sort of thing. So, but
perhaps
some of the jumps I think just happen. And I think the jumps are going to start happening faster and faster because of AI. I think
that's fair.
We were talking, you were talking about predictions, and I think that's going to be the biggest driver of anything starting this coming year, of AI being involved in just about everything we do, and watching the accelerated pace of science and just everything that it touches is going to be amazing.
Yeah. And so let's go ahead and move on to our 2026 predictions for this coming year. Obviously, I am not predicting that they're going to say that there are aliens, but I will say the reaction to Spielberg's Disclosure Day is going to see an acceleration of people demanding that if we do know that there are non-human intelligent beings, that we want to know, because it's been rumored in the past that I believe under Bush 1, maybe, that they actually had people sit down and say, okay, if there were aliens, tell us the pros and the cons and how you think that the public would react. And people came back and said the reaction would be so bad, the economy would take all these things, that they were just like, well, then we can't do this. Yeah. Now, whether or not that is true, whether or not that meant that there are, who knows? But I think you're going to see, that phrase, non-human intelligent life or non-human intelligent being, whatever it is. I think you're going to see that used a lot by the end of the year. That's my first prediction.
No, and I agree. And that's why I said earlier, if it got out in a just blatant, rip off the Band-Aid, yep, there's non-human intelligent beings out there.
Yep.
The inhibs. It would throw everything into chaos, because society is structured. We live in patterns. We live in structure for the most part as humans on this earth. And that would completely disrupt that there's something out there different. Right. And so that's why I say with government, I wouldn't be surprised if there was proof out there that they are really trying to suppress, at least for the short term, saying, yeah, it's not, we can't confirm it. We're not going to deny it, and just kind of leave it vague, because I think the societal consequences would just be overwhelmingly bad in the short term.
I think the way they'd have to do it is basically say, look, they've been here all along. Obviously, if they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already. So just continue to live your life. It's fine. That's what I mean. That's what I think. All right. You got anything for 2026?
Pagers might make a comeback.
Okay. Here's the thing. You laugh about that. There's a lot of Gen Z that they like the analog stuff, that they like. Do. I saw an article the other day that said they called them dumb phones, but they said that dumb phones were going to become a thing in 2026, where the kids don't want to be connected all the time, that they're going to just have this simple, hey, I can text and call people, but I can't do anything else. I'm like, good. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. No, and that's part of it. We've seen vinyl come back.
Well, now we're going to have you come back, because you have frozen and Gary is stuck.
Getting tired of streaming and digital, that they're going to look for things that are more analog and more touchy-feely. And I was just like, you know what? Pagers could make a comeback.
It's possible.
next level of dumb phone, if you will, of if you need me, just page me. I'll see your number. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a pretty good way to be like, okay, I'll get back to you when I can. I mean, look, there are still doctors that have pagers.
Yeah.
So
still in use in some places, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because reliable, it works, especially within the hospital. That's where they're mostly used.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
see that. You know, we talked about movies changing, you know, less movies going to theaters. Everything's about streaming and content now. I won't be surprised at some point DVDs, VHS make a stronger comeback.
Well, VHS maybe not. That format. I mean, the visual of it stinks. DVDs are still. Correct. I mean, they're still pretty good. So
yeah. So you may see a resurrection in that sort of entertainment field. I agree. I think there's something so sterile and so unfriendly with some of the technology that's coming out that we're experiencing that there will be a longing for something a little bit more tangible with, you know, the next generations. And it may not last long and it may not be a boom, but they want to reach out, you know, like I said, it would be a fad. It's like, yeah, we want to do that again. You know, I get my gumballs from a gumball machine. You actually use a quarter, even though they don't make pennies anymore.
Right.
I get a nostalgia that they really don't, they never grew up, never experienced, but they want it. And so that's what I think will be an interesting thing in 2026 if we'll see more of that kind of thing.
And I think a little bit of a driver of that was Stranger Things on Netflix, showing them all in the A's of, again, kids just going out and riding their bikes all over town. Now, I mean, we all weren't fighting aliens back in non-human intelligent beings. We weren't fighting them back in the 80s, but we were doing. You watch that and you are reminded of, oh yeah, we used to go out into the woods and build a fort that would stay there for, you know, months, if not years on end. And you would use it, you know, build it when you were 9 and keep improving it. And it'd still be there when you were 13 or 14, when you had moved on to something else. I think they look at that and go, that looks fun. I wish I could do that, rather than building it on Roblox or whatever it is.
Correct. Yeah. No, it's the tangible. I mean, there's even been some schools here in Maine. I don't know if it's happened down in Virginia that are, I can't remember what term they use it, but a part of their daily is spending 3 to 4 hours outside, like walking the woods, building forts, you know, playing in the dirt. Like that is part of their curriculum versus, hey, we just sit in the classroom at a desk all day reading these books. They're trying to balance out that education with, I can't remember if there was a term that they had for it, but yeah, they take them out and we play in the dirt for a few hours, building stuff, tearing it down. Yeah.
Problem solving.
And I think it'd be good. I mean, like I said, I've seen it with my son. He's talked about where he would like to live in the city so he could bike more. Now, not the adventuresome that we did with our bikes back in the day, but you know, he's not too big on the car, mass transit. He's kind of like, it'd be neat to bike around. I mean, that's the quote. It would be neat to bike around. So,
right.
You know, but what is that? It's like the same feeling I used to have on my motorcycle. You're not surrounded by metal. It's just you. And it's a different feel traveling that way than it is, you know, in a train, in a car, in a plane. So.
And a big metal cylinder. Yeah, exactly. All right. So my next one here for 2026, I'm going to go celebrity route. Taylor Swift. And this goes along with Travis Kelce is going to retire. I don't think Travis Kelce's coming back. I think he's done after this week. They're going to announce that she's pregnant at some point in 2026.
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, that makes the most sense. And you know, whether you want to look at it as they really do like each other or if this is a whole big PR thing that's just gotten out of hand, that makes the most sense because, you know, she has the album just released. She hasn't been touring. He's not going to be it seems like the next thing, right? It's the next checklist, if you will.
And,
for them.
I mean, let's be honest. She's 36. I'm not saying
is she that old?
Yeah, she was born in 1989. So she will be 37 this year on December 13th. So yeah, she just turned 36. So you're getting again, not that that's old, but when you're talking about having kids, that's not young. I'll just say that, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Historically, once a woman got past 30, 35, it's always been the age-old sexist, if you want to call it, like, hey, your clock is ticking. You better get on this.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, there's a lot of medical advances and it's a lot safer than say it was, I don't know, 50 years ago, if you want to say, to get pregnant at that, advanced age as far as pregnancy goes. Again, she's way younger than us by 18 years. So she's not old, but to have kids, and if Kelsey has said that he wants to have kids, and I believe I've seen that somewhere else, it's time. Like, you can't wait a couple more years and be like, oh, we'll just wait. So I think it's coming.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the best pick I've heard in for looking ahead what will happen predictions this year. I like yours better. I was way off on like big societal tangents. I like that you've kind of gone with stuff.
Go ahead.
No, I think the next blow up you're going to find is going to be in healthcare. I think we're starting to learn some things, especially in cancer research, that, again, argue if you want, if is either ignored or wasn't prominent. But just talking to some of my doctor friends, this whole anti-parasite medication regime used in cancer treatment really has some foundations. And it's not because cancer is a parasite, but it treats the cancer cells the same way it does parasites, by starving them of a certain energy source.
Are you talking about like fenbendazole and stuff like that?
Exactly. Yep. It's just a parallel of, this actually does what we needed to do, regardless of what the cell is. Like I said, parasite versus cancer. I know Johns Hopkins is doing a lot of research on it, and I think that's going to go a long way. We'll find out, I think, in the next year.
Here's the problem why I think that it's going to be, because I've read, if people aren't familiar, go read up on Joe Tippins. Are you familiar with Joe Tippins at all?
I've heard the name.
Yeah. He was the one that basically kind of started this whole fenbendazole, protocol type stuff when he had, I want to say, stage 4 small cell lung cancer. I don't remember what it was. But just look it up. Trust me, you'll find article after article after article on him, everything else. And I saw this because obviously when I went through my colon cancer years ago. But the reason I always struggle with whether or not this is going to be some major breakthrough, fenbendazole and drugs like it have been out there on the market. For those who don't know, fenbendazole is what you give your dog to deworm it. When you have like a puppy or a dog gets worms, you give them fenbendazole. It's that drug basically. You can't make any money off of it. I can buy a whole packet of it for $20. And I used to, because I was like, I got nothing. It's not harmful to humans as far as we know. I haven't seen any tests that says it destroys your liver or anything. But it's like one of those things where you go, well, if it's not going to be, hurtful to me, I don't know if it's beneficial or not, but why not? I used to mix it into my yogurt that I would have every morning. And I did that for 6 or 7 months while I was going through chemo, just because I was like, I don't know, maybe it'll help. No idea. But I read a bunch of people that said it helped them. So I was like, okay, well, I'll, it's not harmful. And I talked to my oncologist about it. And he goes, well, I don't think it's going to kill you. He's like, so,
right.
He goes, I don't know that it's going to help you. And I was like, well, that's okay. I said, I'm not going to quit my treatments. I'm not going to stop coming here and letting you guys poison me, which is basically what it was. So I'll just keep doing this. So yeah, I think there are a lot of things out there that are like that. That I think you're right. I think we're going to see a big jump with AI and all that stuff helping in the medical field. But I also think that we're going to see a lot of people going, well, what used to work? What natural things will work? Because there's been a monster backlash against the pharmaceutical companies for a lot of different reasons. But this is part of it. Like, we all know if they can't make money off of it, they don't want to do it.
Yep, they don't care. They're not going to research it because there's
Right.
no money in it.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen it just in my practice in emergency medicine of, oh, we had this, well, we did this. Oh, we got to stop doing that. And not that was necessarily pharmacological based, but certain. And then all of a sudden we're back to, well, we used to do it this way, and here's why it's better now.
Right.
I've seen that in practice, and I think it's going to happen with medicine. Ivermectin, fenbendazole. I don't think it's the replacement. I think they're going to refine it, figure out
Enhancement.
certain cancers. It's enhancement in certain situations. But just on the surface of some of the things they're saying is, again, at a cellular level, it treats the cancer cell like it does the parasite, which kills the cancer cell.
Right.
Or it's not the cure. It's just, it just mimics and takes care of it. And we're going to see that with so many other things, again, because of AI. And that's why I think there's going to be huge advances in medicine. I mean, longevity. I mean, who knows what will come from this as AI gets more involved. But I think that's DNA. I mean, especially now that, we have DNA sequences, they may be able to take a baby, pull their DNA. And again, it costs money. So we'll have to figure that part out. But they'll be able to look, this kid is going to be predetermined to this, not that, this, not that, and you'll have predictive medicine probably when you're born.
Yeah.
Like that's how crazy this can get. So
yeah, and I mean, I think it's already happening in some places. I don't think we're that far. I don't think it's gonna happen in 2026, but I don't think we're that far away from people basically saying, okay, I want my kid to have blonde hair, green eyes. Like, you're going to be able to do designer baby at some point. Like, that's going to happen. It's going to be like your American Girl doll where you could pick their hair color, their eye color. I mean, all that's coming. I don't think it's going to be here in mainstream 2026. I think in our lifetime, if we live another 20, 30 years, I think you're going to see that. All right.
Yeah. And real fast, I don't even know if it's that long because it's, again, AI driven. Everything's going to move at such a faster speed now. I mean, if you think how for us, we saw dial up to fiber, like the speed at what things are going to happen, it might be 5 or 10 years, but still that's faster than we would have thought originally. Right.
I think it'll first be, obviously, because of the money, it's going to be just for celebrities and rich people. I think the average person will have a pushback on it because they're going to be like, no, I just want to have my child. I don't need to like everything kind of like this. Well, it's kind of like, this generation going back to like vinyl and everything else. Everything doesn't need to be perfectly polished in exactly the way that they dream it. I think, and that's why I think Gen Z and everything is going to look at it and be like, no, we just want to have, we'll just have our kid. That's all. I don't need to have it designed.
They'll give up the gender reveal parties.
God, I hope so.
I mean, I never understood because it was said to me, and it was right, is the one big surprise you have in your lifetime.
Sure.
So we never checked on what our son was when had him.
Let's face it, how dare you assume that baby is a boy? You don't know the baby's gender. How dare you? All these parents with their gender reveals. That's awful. That kid has its own license to be able to determine what gender it is. People are awful with your pink and blue balloons. All right. Financial side.
Yes.
It's not that far away, so it's not that big of a leap. Dow 50K happens this year, and I believe it will finish above 50,000 at the end of the year. Again, that's not a huge leap. That's only like a 2 to 3, maybe 5% jump because I think it's at 48 right now. So, 5% would put it over 50K, but I think it will hit 50K this year and maybe hit 50K by April, and it will stay. We'll have a little dip, but it'll stay above 50K by the end of the year.
Yep. I agree with you. I think it's going to hit 50K this year. The question is, will it stay and how long? Because I think a lot of it's also driven by the midterms because the midterms will, if they go a certain way, it's going to change a lot of things, causing a lot of uncertainty. So I feel like from the professional money management side, it's, 11 o'clock and Disney closes at midnight. We're doing anything and everything we can between now and then to ride the wave. And then readjust, and I don't could be positive, but I think it's gonna be more of a negative adjustment if things get clamped down after the midterms next year, for the last 2 years of Trump's presidency.
Right.
So yes, but I definitely, 50,000, it's coming. It's going to be on the back again. AI. It's kind of the internet on steroids, like it was back in the late 90s. I think we got ahead of ourselves and then had the pullback. I think this time this thing is just going to run on the backs of AI, and invest now. But I'd still invest in hard assets too, gold, silver.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your gold,
There's
get your silver.
too many other countries buying it up for us to ignore that they're trying to get away from the US dollar.
And again, not that we're giving any kind of financial advice, because we're not certified to do that. This is just us talking to dum-dums. You can't manipulate silver and gold to the point that you can fiat currencies. So
correct.
Just keep that in mind when the debt is approaching 50 trillion, I think, or whatever it's going to be over the next couple of years. Just saying. All right, I want to get to this travel thing before we go.
Yeah.
So I typed into our good friends at ChatGPT. Give me some of the top travel destinations for 2026. And one of the ones it came up with in the US was Detroit. And I went, no, thank you. So no offense.
Did it give reasoning? I'm trying to figure that one out.
Here, let me go scroll back to it.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. I've got a bunch of different stuff in here. Here it is. Detroit, the unexpected urban boom. Detroit is officially trending as a travel destination for 2026. Its cultural scene, affordability, and rising search interest have put it on travelers' forecast maps as the next big city break spot for arts, live events, and unique local experiences. Yeah, the unique local experience is you'll get shot. That's exciting.
I mean, affordable. It's like the old days in Baltimore. You can buy a shell of a row house for $2,000, right?
Right.
I don't think you want to live in that neighborhood, but it's affordable. So I'm just wow. And so this goes back to one of the questions we had brought up before about talking about AI, which platform, what's the influence behind it? Because somehow coming up with Detroit, you question like what, did Detroit cut a deal somewhere with their visitors bureau to make us the next? You still have to be careful of what these answers are.
Yeah, because
ChatGPT
scrapes from like Reddit and places like it's like, okay, you're going by some Reddit thread, but that's not where it got this. But yeah, so a couple of the other ones like was it Adelaide, Australia? However you pronounce that. I don't know. I'm like, okay, fine. I don't know. I haven't been to Australia. I'd like to go to Australia. I have no opinion. I don't know anything about that city. So, was it Milano, Italy? That's where they're doing the Olympics. That makes sense. The Olympics is coming up here in 2026. Perfect thing. You then scroll down. I'm going to skip these other ones because they're more like, generic ones. They're not, it says like mountain escapes or book-bound travel where you read a book and you go to the trip inspired by that book. But then you get down to number 9, Rwanda.
What?
Rwanda has been aggressively marketing itself via major U.S. sports partnerships while positioning itself as a sustainable and conservation-oriented tourism hub, and the attention is paying off, according to this.
Okay.
Remember when I said at the very beginning of the show, there are 2 places I would not go on this travel list?
Yeah.
Number 1 was Detroit. Number 2 with a bullet, Rwanda.
Yeah. That's wow. Again, so that's the question. Can you influence ChatGPT by writing an article? I don't know, or enough articles and getting it out there that says, hey, Rwanda is the place to be in 2026.
I mean, I'll give them credit. Reading this, it says they have sponsored top European soccer clubs like Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain, and another one in Spain. I can't pronounce it. Atletico Madrid, maybe. And they've also done it with the Clippers and the Rams here in the U.S. They're doing sports tourism things. Apparently, gorilla trekking is like a massive, huge thing. Who knew? No idea. Gorilla tourism is up 27% in recent years, according to, again, ChatGPT. So
and we just lost Jane Goodall this past year. So.
Exactly right. So, yeah, I mean,
gorilla
I don't know.
Okay.
I got Rwanda was not on my list of places to go. So,
well, but I mean, of course, it's ChatGPT. It's not author. Like, it's one of those where I could see if you were a creative writer for a travel magazine, you know, people get bored of beaches, this, that, and the other. So you got to slide in, you know, as they say, slide in one or two that are controversial and make a case to make people go, oh, wow.
1.3 million visitors last year, according to, again, to this. So,
like, just vacationing visitors,
I mean,
State Department officials.
It says Rwanda welcomed over 1.3 million visitors with tourism revenues in the hundreds of millions of US dollars.
Okay.
Again, I'm sure it's very nice. I'm sure I will never be there.
And maybe that's me just not understanding how things have changed, because obviously in the past it had a bad reputation. So I would fully expect maybe an updated version of that for this year, or maybe next year.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Somalia ends up on the list of where you should be heading to for your vacation spots.
You think Mogadishu is going to become the hot new city here in 2026?
Well, you know, they're going to say, you know, a lot of investments have been made. Maybe things are being cleaned up in the culture there. I can see that happening. So
it's just not right.
Well,
it's just not right. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'll go with Rwanda, but you know, that's fine. But you know,
because
I can't see it.
It was the movie Hotel Rwanda, wasn't it? It was pretty bad. So that's why I think that sticks in my head of really that's a place to go. But again, they're saying investments, they've cleaned the place up. So, and that movie is probably 20 years ago. So
yeah, that's
2 decades of putting everything back together to make it tourist friendly. And gorilla trekking. I'm gonna check this gorilla trekking out.
Yeah, I've never heard of gorilla trekking before, so we'll see.
We may do. It's inspired me. I may come up with moose trekking up here.
There you go.
Get you into the northern climes and let you track moose around.
Yeah, just follow the moose. It's all good. Yeah. All right. We've done our duty for the day. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope. I just say from the movie Back to the Future, since it's a new year and what we're doing is they said in the movie, here's to the future.
There you go. The past is the past. The future is waiting. We will see you guys next time.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.